Okay, can we get started, please? And we're going to do just a little bit of a wrap up, and I'm going to probably propose something a little bit radical, and I'd like to ask our three speakers, who two of you who you have met. We are the cleanup crew, basically, for this conference. Ivan Stefunko and Charles Vesner, you've met before, and Stanislav Sipko, the plenipotentiary for the Slovak government for the knowledge economy, has joined us as well. And I'm going to, basically what we're going to do, I'm going to make a little bit of a proposal, a little bit of a wrap-up, using the KISS principle. Does anyone know what the KISS principle is? Yes. Keep it simple, stupid. Yes, okay. So I'm going to distill today's conference into 3 words, 2 concepts and 3 words. And I would probably begin, and I'm going to make you guess at the second one. But the first one, I'm going to make you guess at both of them, actually. The first one comes from Pastorek, Professor Pastorek, who I was quite surprised to hear this on the stage today. And can anyone tell me when he was asked, what do we need to do? And he didn't say, what do we need the most? What do we need to do? And he didn't say we need to form a commission, we need to form a committee, we need lots of money, we need lots of reports. What was the essence of what he said when he was asked that? Does anyone remember? 2 words. He said, change mentality. We need to change mentality. And I thought that was a really, really important concept. And that goes way back, and it goes to the educational system. And I want to distill that down to educational system as well. Educational systems, we have, some professors, some rectors don't want to change mentality. They are resistant to that change, and we've been talking about that for years. How the educational institutions are resisting change. They do not want change. In my opinion, that's one of the biggest problems with the advent of innovation and the knowledge economy in Slovakia. And the second area that applies to change mentality towards corruption. And we've heard a little bit about that today. And the issues of transparency and corruption, the public acceptance of corruption. That's just the way it's expected. And if we get a pool of money, if there is a pool of money in the ministry to be distributed, a lot of the mentality is, how are we going to get a hold of that money without it being distributed, or that it gets rerouted back to us? You all know what I'm talking about. So a change of mentality in that way. The second, what do you think the second word I have picked up? And it was mentioned by Stephen, it was mentioned by Vincent, it was mentioned several times today. Failure. Yes, exactly, failure. We have to change the attitude of failure, and not be, we had a saying, in English, and here I would interpret it to, if you do not succeed, you have done something wrong. But the real saying is, if you do not succeed, try again. It's kind of like going to your doctor, and he says, doctor, it hurts when I do this. And he says, well, don't do that. Quit doing that. If you don't say so. The whole issue of failure, that it's okay to fail. And I think what Stephen said was important. Just don't try to do the same thing again over and over and over and fail again, but try something different. And so those, with that in mind, and then I would like to refer back to our poll, which was there and is gone. But we saw that vast majority of people felt that the most important element for enhancing the environment for innovation was education, is education. And is Josef Ondaš still here? Josef, I'd love you to tell the audience very briefly. Last night you told me about a program IT Valley is instituting, targeting 20,000 elementary students with the, and 20,000 elementary students, and he told me, okay, then we'll have, 10,000 by a certain grade, 5,000 by another grade, and we hope we will direct 2,000 graduates into IT-related education by the time they graduate. What a great program. That's starting at the very grassroots. Fantastic program. That's what we need, this very grassroots educational approach. Okay, let's go on to you guys. Two things, and we'll maybe begin with Charles. How do you sum up today, and how do you respond to these proposals? What are we going to do next? Something I forgot to begin with was that this whole thing, started a very long time ago, but this conference actually started last night when all of the participants, the panelists, got together for a dinner and opened up the conversation, graciously hosted by State Secretary Burian here at the ministry, and that got the juices flowing, and lots of ideas were thrown around to get everyone thinking. So that was the beginning. What do we hope to achieve? Today we talked about various things that we wanted to come away with. Tomorrow morning we're meeting for breakfast to decide what are we going to do. So this part of and I want to start that discussion right here and right now. What are we going to do next? What are our next steps with what I've just introduced in mind and everything else you've heard today?
Well, in a sense, I think the important thing is to congratulate the governmental authorities and the AmCham and the related organizations, the universities, for bringing attention here. You need an ongoing focus on this. You can't solve it in one go. We have a list of things we need to look at. And I want to stress from the last conversation that you need multiple mechanisms. But one is you need to up the finance, and you need to refocus the universities. And you need to do both. Change is much easier when you're increasing a budget. And I just get sometimes feeling a little desperate. The rest of the world, and I refer to my own country, the rest of the world is adding money steadily. And in the U.S., you have a problem where every governor makes a speech about the importance of the knowledge economy just before he cuts the university budget another 5%. And you don't want that here. And this idea of finding ways forward, like parallel institutes that let universities do more without trying to change every aspect. I think you ought to explore that. You need to provide funding and markets for small companies. There's a lot of emphasis on what the EU is doing, and I have been talking with the EU, and I'm not joking, for about 5 years, maybe 7, about how SBR works and how you can use procurement funds. One of the tricks is to use procurement funds so that when you give it a grant for something, there's someone to buy it right away. It's that connection. It doesn't always work that way, but it's an effective link. The other is, for those of you who have talked to the entrepreneurs here, most of whom have vacated to the next room, but the young entrepreneurs talk about getting the obstacles out of the way. Why is it bad to fail here? Well, partly because of your bankruptcy laws. There's a vicious circle between the cultural stigma of failure and bankruptcy laws, which are punitive. The Iraqis had trouble with their soccer team because if you missed shots, you used to get tortured when you went home. So it was really never much fun to take shots on goal. So what you have is a system that is like the Iraqi torture system. If you try to do a company and you fail, then they punish you socially, they punish you economically, and they prevent you from taking another shot. That's really not a good system. And you have to remember, where did this come from? Was this out of the 1920s, or was it the 1890s? I'm quite serious about this. If you look back at where some of these laws come from, they are the sludge of history. They just happen to be there. Maybe they came from the communist period, which would be even clearer why that's a good reason to change. Anyhow, so focusing on those different players, but above all, an ongoing focus. And every time you can knock down an obstacle, build a consensus to do something, then there's real progress. And one of the things I admire about our Asian friends is that when they get good, as they are, they try harder. When they get good, they want to learn more. I mean, we're going to Taiwan again. We're going to Singapore again, largely at their invitation. They're eager to see us, and we're eager to learn from them. And that's a big challenge we have back in the States, trying to get our government to pay attention to what the rest of the world is doing. Now, our particular problem that we have with the Congress right now is that for the Academy's business model to work, you have to have people who are both able and willing to read. And we don't always have that. So, in any case, that's where.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Charles. Mr. Sipka, with all you've heard out throughout the day today and the summary, what is your response? What do you think the next step should be?
Thank you for the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to point out maybe three things which I think it's important for further discussion and defining the steps how to do next steps in Slovakia. Firstly, during the previous months when we have almost daily discussions about the next period till 2020, I have identified that still in Slovakia we have two vicious circles in the system. The first was very clearly identified during also the previous panel, and still, if we are speaking about the innovation system, you have three stakeholders: the government, the academia, and the industry. And still, it was very nicely said that academia is speaking to the industry, tell us what we have to do, and industry simply does not respond. The academia is when speaking to the government that you are financing us not sufficiently, and government then is speaking to the industry that we need some outputs from you, why you are not performing like we would like. It is very clear in Slovakia that these three pillars of the systems were not communicating together. So first thing, and I think it is crucial for the Slovakia the communication among the three parts of the system. We can speak very nicely about variety of issues like how to support that or that, but without the communication between those systems, we will not achieve anything. Currently, I think we are trying to do our best, and I think the situation is slightly changing. We have launched very hard discussion, for example, between the industry and academia, and also the government about the real scientific priorities for Slovak Republic, which will be the core of support measures till 2020, and we have quite hard discussions from August last year, and still we are, I think, in the middle of a process of identifying the priorities. But what is very important, and I am an optimist. For the first time in the history of Slovakia, we have started such a dialogue, and I think it's the ongoing process is going better and better. For example, if we are speaking about the ICT, of course, we have a variety of ICT areas in the universities and also in the Academy of Sciences, where we have the students, professors, variety of research projects. For the first time, just last week, we have, of course, the academia has identified that these are our priority areas for the next 7-year period in the ICT area, and then we have discussion with the representatives from the industry. Just 2 weeks ago, it was a representation from the ITAS, so IT Association of Slovakia, and the outcome of the discussion was that simply the priorities of academia in the ICT currently, like they were put in the paper are the generic one. So very, very broad areas where everybody can see everything. So I think, but as I said, the dialogue has started. Another dialogue, I think, which is very important in Slovakia, is a dialogue within the state administration. Also, during the previous panel, we had the representatives of two crucial ministries, Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Economy. Of course, I am from the Ministry of Education and Research. Again, I think that that one of the basic shortcomings of the system was that during the previous years, these three ministries were not on the same line. I think that if we are speaking about the division of the competencies, Ministry of Education responsible for science and research, Ministry of Economy for the innovation, and now for the first time we are under the discussions how to define the system as such and have some interlinks between both parts of the system. So communication is the first. The second vicious circle we have in Slovakia is the never-ending debate about the public finances and their attitude to the science, research and innovation. We all know that the Ministry of Finance is somebody who should secure the healthy public finances, and again we are speaking almost I think 7 year period about the fact that Slovak Republic should invest more, not only from the public, also from the private sources, into the R&D and innovation system. If we are speaking within the state administration, still the same answer from the Ministry of Finance is, okay, it's no problem, but firstly you should reform the system, and if we see that the R&D and innovation systems are effective, you will get the money. So we are still speaking continuously 7 years about the reform of the system, and still we are not seeing the more money. So this is the second one. We have to end somewhere and simply start to believe that also the public investment into the system of research, development, and innovation are something which Slovakia needs. So this is my second point, and I will come back to what you said about the Professor Pastorik. Yeah, I think I fully agree with the statement that what is the most important in Slovakia is a change of attitude. It's a change of attitude. And this is something which I was mentioning, that the part of a change of attitude is communicating together and trying to find solutions together, because I see as a major problem of Slovak situation into R&D and innovation, the fragmentation of individual parts of the system, and simply such a system is not able to work correctly. Thank you.
Okay, Ivan, your thoughts on the day.
Okay, so I'm here from the beginning, from yesterday, in fact, so I can sum up a little bit what has been said. I will not pronounce only my own views, but I will make some kind of summary of what I've heard. So I think that the biggest importance of this event is that everybody stressed out that the most important thing for Slovakia is a better coordination between all the decision makers, and if possibly one boss. So I don't know who is going to be, but probably it's the best to put it under one very respectable person or even one institution. The other thing was that the university should be motivated to promote also entrepreneurship, and they should be motivated to not only support publications, but also when something has a commercial potential, it should be commercialized, and then just start some kind of economical system within the university that then they can co-finance their research by assets or benefits which they get from the corporate commercialization of the science which has been made in the universities. The other third biggest problem which was identified here is that there is a lack of venture capital here. I mean, it's some kind of market failure. If you can imagine that in Slovakia you do not have a real venture capital fund. You have many venture capital funds around Slovakia, so in Vienna, Prague, Warsaw, Budapest, and each of them is covering somehow Bratislava. This means that once a month they come to the best hotel in Bratislava and they ask, so Ivan, what's new? So this is not how you are just finding out the best opportunities to invest, and this is not how you are working with companies. So this should be really solved, and I'm happy that the Ministry of Finance is promoting this kind of future, how to underline innovation within the university, but also outside the universities. We are on an event which is co-organized by the AmCham, and AmCham is gathering many of companies which are some kind of importing technologies here, and they're using the workforce. But nevertheless, on this conference, many of people said that we have to switch from a country which is importing technology to produce cheap products and export them, but we have to export our brain in order to make cheap products somewhere else. so that could be probably the next challenge, or to make some kind of mixture. You have to have big companies, but you have to have also an ecosystem with startups. Then there was a little remark of some of the people from the startup ecosystem that it's quite good that it could be good to support them, which are already organizing events or creating incubators and so on, and not to create another ones by another very complicated state programs. So people from the startup community have invited state officials to come to the co-working centers and really to look what is happening there, and probably they could be like somehow inspired by writing those big papers within the government sphere. So I think that you are invited. Is he invited?
Of course, everybody's invited.
Okay, good.
Tomorrow for lunch, right, everyone?
Yes, yes, and you pay. So the precedence. And the last thing was a very optimistic one. It's never late to start. So I think it's never late to start. So it's never too late. So I think that we've got a very good meeting today, and probably tomorrow also. And I think that I met during the pauses many people who are really motivated to work with the responsible people on different levels, and I'm very glad that our friends from foreign countries came to inspire us, and I think that many of at least people from my community, you know, the startup community, and people who want money to that we have some examples to follow. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ivan. Thank you, everyone. I am the last one who wants to stand between you and a glass of wine, but I do want to give you the opportunity. If there is anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question or make a comment, please feel free to do so. Now, going once, going twice. Okay, we want the wine more than ask the questions, I guess. Let me then close the conference with some final comments and some announcements and some thanks. First of all, we will immediately downstairs, there will be the networking cocktail with the startups, and please do, I believe some are displayed here. It's a little promotion there as well. Please do spend a little bit of time getting to know the startups who are at this at this conference. It's the first time that we have had such a conference with startups being part of the discussion as well. I think it's a great idea. Like I said, this discussion will continue tomorrow morning with the breakfast, and we hope to have some real concrete outputs from that. And finally, from our side, we would certainly like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, State Secretary Burian. Many thanks for your cooperation, and to Minister Lajčák as well. I frequently talk about the very close working relationship that we have had with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for some time, and we do appreciate that very much, and the opportunity, and for approaching us with this opportunity. We also especially want to thank Ambassador Kmetz and Vít Koziak for their input as well, and especially our partner in crime, Igor Hajdušek. Many thanks, Igor, for working with us. Also, we want to thank Daniela Bezakova and Barbara Mistanova from the ministry as well for their input. And it has been, like I say, always has been a great experience for us to work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Of course, our sponsors, we want to acknowledge their generous contributions. We thank Dell and Amgen, especially for their contributions. We have many guests here today, international guests and speakers. We want to acknowledge them all. I do need to make special thanks to Charles Wessner for his input during and the impetus and one of the driving forces behind this conference. Charles, many thanks, and we've been involved. He has been involved in this for some time, and the Taipei Representative Office, Ambassador Lee. Many thanks also for your input. You've also been involved, and this has been going. We've been working on this for several months. And certainly, last but not least, the AmCham staff as well, and especially want to thank Anna Mikhalkova and Natalia Polyakova for their valuable contributions and hard work. Thank you both very much. Okay, and thanks to all the participants as well. Many thanks for coming today, and do stop by for a glass of wine. Thanks again for coming.